You're entering the MSP Zone, a podcast for the managed services community, covering news, analysis, and interviews from around the globe. Elevate your MSP game by staying in the MSP Zone. And now, your host, Charles Weaver.
Back, another MSP Zone featured interview. Today, we are very privileged and honored to have Mr. Tim Bowers, CEO of Halo. Halo PSA, joining us live from the United Kingdom. We're going to be talking about Halo PSA. We're going to be talking about the PSA market. We're going to be talking about what is this company that a lot of people may not have heard about, but a lot of MSPs are talking about in the quiet, hushed hallways of MSP conferences all over the world, I am convinced. So Tim, welcome to MSP Zone. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks very much for having me.
So this is a bit unusual because not most people, but I mean, some people who join MSP Zone have been in the channel for a very long time. And don't get me wrong, you guys have been here for a long time, but I started hearing about Halo about a year ago, and I thought that they were talking about the video game. And I thought this is a weird thing that MSPs are talking about a video game. And then I quickly realized it's not a video game. They're talking about a new PSA that is starting to, when one person says it, it's an anomaly. When multiple people talk about it, then it's a trend. So people who have never heard of you, could you give us a very quick overview of Halo, the company, and the Halo PSA initiative or product?
Yeah, sure. I mean, because there's two very well established, or maybe even three names in the PSA space, the very easy description we give to people is it's like ConnectWise Manage but better, or it's like AutoTask better. And what I mean by that is it's more modern. It's kind of made for more modern cloud first, or whatever you want to call it. Those kind of MSPs that a lot of the revenue that they're making is through offering cloud products. They're reselling a lot. They're still doing support and kind of service is the core of our products, and I'll probably talk about that a bit later. But it's kind of those kind of MSPs really that we, I guess, target first. We make the product for. It's built around a huge amount of user feedback. We originally came from an MSP, so our founder Paul Hamilton. This is going back a long time, but probably 28 years ago now. He was in Scotland when he was 23, 24, and worked for an MSP. So he started making a product. And I guess that's how almost every MSP focused product comes about, is someone looks out there and says, this is all rubbish, I'm going to make my own one. So it started off as very much the same thing. But for the probably almost 20 years after that, he didn't focus on MSPs, and we didn't focus on MSPs. It was very much an ITSM kind of service desk tool that had some MSP bits to it. So it wasn't really until 5 years ago now that we split the product into three distinct products. Halo PSA, that's this one, Halo ITSM, and Halo CRM. And that was so we could really cater for three distinct markets, even though the core of the product is the same. So Halo PSA is the one that's for MSPs or technology providers or software companies as well. It's anyone who's selling a service really, or a product to a customer base. Whereas Halo ITSM is an ITSM tool, so it's internal IT. You go on the website, you'll see other companies, banks, big education, those kind of things using it. And that's kind of more of a competitor to ServiceNow, Ivanti, Sharewell, those kind of tools. But the core of the product, probably 50, 60% of it is shared it's a service delivery tool. They're delivering services to an internal user base, sometimes huge, hundreds of thousands of users, maybe at Sky TV or somewhere like that. Exactly the same as MSPs are trying to deliver their service to their hundreds of thousands, however many users they've got. So a lot of the tool is the same. And that's kind of works really well for us in that you've got three different arms of one company that are all making a service delivery product, we can borrow bits sometimes. So ITSM end up using some of PSA's functionality. We end up using ITSMs or CRMs. You'll see things like, I don't know, Facebook or Twitter integrations that the CRM product focuses on. And some of our MSPs like to use that. So we do end up borrowing bits of functionality, but it helps us focus on those distinct use cases a lot more. So a lot of the PSA guys, the employees here now, they are from that background or have worked at MSPs at some point before, and they come on board and give us focus on that product.
You definitely have a marquee list of end user, sizable end user organizations using your other products. But it's not like there aren't other PSA tools out there, and that's what I suppose really got me thinking. And I don't want to knock other platforms, but I do want to acknowledge the obvious. When so many MSPs start to talk about something like Halo PSA, and they're, we hear it in our Inspire peer group, and they were starting to talk about it, and I what is it? And everyone had a little bit of a different reason. I'd like to ask you maybe your own opinion of why do you think Halo PSA is resonating within a market that has been for 20 plus years accustomed to buying and using a PSA tool for their work?
Yeah, there's probably a few reasons. One of the big reasons is if you look at the development roadmaps, life cycle of some of the other tools, not all of them, and not gonna name names, but some of them perhaps aren't very progressive. They're not really developing much anymore, and maybe still putting some features out. But I think as MSPs, you get to see a lot of what everyone else is using. So what your customers using, they're using Freshservice or Freshdesk or I don't know, tools like HubSpot in their CRM, and they're coming out with all these really exciting updates. And you're the MSP who's the technology provider, and you're stuck with this platform that isn't really doing much. And I think that probably does come into it. They're not, MSPs aren't silly. They know what's out there. They know what everyone else is doing. And they're probably thinking, why aren't my vendors making these products? Why aren't they using, I don't know, AI? Why do they look like they're 20 years old? And it's not a knock on them at all. I have massive respect for, ConnectWise, Kaseya, whoever it is out there. They've built great products and they have a hell of a lot of functionality packed in them. And they're maybe not the main focus of those companies because they've got these other tools. They're selling RMMs, they're selling security products, backup solutions, all these other things. So I kind of get it. But I think MSPs have realized that, and they've given them long enough in a lot of cases to become more innovative, and they just haven't done it. I don't think they're going to. So I think that's probably the biggest reason, is almost planning for the future, and seeing if I stay on this product, is it going to be in 2 years' time still fit for purpose, or a year's time, or whatever it is. And I think a lot of people are coming up and saying, no, it's not. We're going to have to find something more suitable for the future, the future proofing.
Yeah, I did hear the AI component mentioned that you guys were, if not doing stuff, at least experimenting more significantly than the other PSA platforms on the issue of AI. Maybe if you feel comfortable talking about AI, maybe talk to the audience about how Halo PSA looks at AI from a not staff augmentation, but an efficiency and enhancement of the existing MSP help desk.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people look at it and worry about potentially losing their jobs as first line support or someone like that. But we look at it much more as it'll make you more efficient at your job, and maybe the guys that aren't needed anymore for that can be repurposed and be put into the implementations projects team or the sales team or some other potentially revenue generating positions. So it's not like it's going to be taking people's jobs. I think it will free people up to do more. And yeah, we're trying to do as much as we can with it. It's kind of getting used to and working out the best ways to use it. A lot of that comes from user feedback. So some of the first easy to implement functionalities we had put in are things like agent tonality or end user tonality, and automatic prioritization and categorization. Trying to think what else. There's another quite cool feature where it will just take any ticket that gets created via the portal or email and put it down into one sentence. So it will take the important bits out of it. And you just ask ChatGPT, I guess, to give you one sentence description of this issue. So it means you can just get on and start working on things a bit quicker. They're kind of the first use cases that we got out a few months ago they're cool. They're not gimmicky because they have got use, but they're not kind of groundbreaking and gonna really save, I don't know, 50% or 30% of the time on your service desk. But we are now working on some stuff which is a bit cooler, which has taken a bit longer to work out how it works kind of end to end. And that's going to be to do with auto resolution of tickets. And that what we think, if you put the effort into training properly, is going to be really cool. It's not going to fix 100% of your tickets every time, but it's definitely going to be able to offer decent resolutions to customers as soon as they log a ticket.
Yeah. And do you think that your company's obvious focus on this is what you do? You're not an MSP platform. You're not out there trying to be a bunch of different things to everybody. You're focused on this. That has to be part of the reason why I would think that you're able to focus on this and make just one element of what you do better.
Yeah, no, I do think that's one of the big differentiators, I guess, is that we're service delivery focused. We're not focused on creating a security product for you to resell or an RMM for you to use to manage devices. It's purely your business. How can we run your business more efficiently, more effectively? So it does give us a much narrower scope in terms of us having to plan and I don't know, think about what features we want to add. It's just, is it a service delivery feature? Then we'll add it. And I do think that makes it easier in some ways for us.
In the past, I've seen some other products, including a few PSA tools that were really and RMM, I suppose, that were really aimed at unaffiliated MSPs, right? Newer MSPs who had not yet purchased a platform. It seems to me, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're doing a heck of a lot of migrations. So you're talking to existing MSPs who already have ticketing platforms. And I've talked to a lot of MSPs over the years. Migrating ticketing platforms is not the most favorite thing to do. The fact that you're compelling enough that they're willing to do it, but it seems like you've figured out something that has really alleviated the fear and maybe the cost of migration. Could you speak to that maybe?
Yeah, I think there's two parts to that, because one of the issues when you move platforms is migrating your current data over. And I'd actually say that it's been kind of okay. There's ways around that. There's tools out there you can use to migrate your data now. Some of them have been built ourselves with APIs, and some of them you can go elsewhere and engage with third parties to do it from specific other tools. The migration bit it's not normally the main issue. It's the integration part where the MSP's been using old PSA for 10 years and they've integrated everything into it. Some of it's custom, that they've done their own API work, and some of it is, you've got your CRM, you've got your billing, you've got your reporting tools, you've got all your RMM and security products, your backup alerts coming in. So you end up with somewhere between kind of 15 or 25 tools that are all integrated into your PSA. And I think one of the main issues that anyone else that wants to get into the PSA market as a new PSA tool is you'll come along and the MSP will say, I can't even consider moving because you don't integrate with 75% of my current tool set. And no matter how good your PSA is, the loss from that is going to be huge. We're going to lose visibility in so many areas of the business that it's not even a consideration. So I think that was the biggest issue, and that has just taken time. That's been one of my biggest focuses ever since I took on this role was product. We're very much still a product-driven company. We're not a see some companies out there and you think that they're a sales company at this point. Their main focus is selling this thing, or you can tell their marketing's really good, and that I'd say they're a marketing company really. We're a product company where the focus is the product still, and we're still very much focused on the product being better this next year than it is this year, and 5 times that in 5 years. That's kind of our goal really, is to have the best product. So when I started doing it, it was very much how do we get everyone to integrate? And it's taken us a long time, but we now have that full set of integration with a suite of other products. So if you've got reporting needs, we'll integrate. If you've got an accounting tool, we'll probably integrate with that. If you've got an RMM, we'll almost definitely integrate with that now. So if you go to the Halo integrations page in the app, you'll see a huge amount of effort has gone into that, which I think is the key to getting people to be comfortable with moving over, because they can integrate all these other products before they even buy Halo, and see how it works. And then they're comfortable that it does everything they need. And then it's migrating the data, which is a whole nother thing. And that's not easy either. You've got to move all this data over. Some things don't map one-to-one because we do things a bit differently to your current PSA. And that's just taken care of as part of an implementation. Sometimes goes smoothly, sometimes it's bumpy, but you can't ever make that part easy. You've got 10 years of data in your old system. It's never going to come across perfectly.
But no, I understand that. But that it for whatever reason, it just seems like you've cracked the code, if you will, to breaking down the barrier. Maybe the need is just so great that the MSPs are saying, I'm willing to do it. Right. Again, these are not startup MSPs. These are legacy, fairly mature MSPs that we're talking to, saying, yeah, let's do it. I'm aware of the potential disruption of making that type of a move, but they seem to be saying, look, it's time. It's time to do it. And that maybe begs the question, are they doing it because of your work in AI and the efficiency, time savings and that type, or is it just because it's giving them a new fresh coat of paint? Anything that you could point your finger to of the trigger of why they're moving over to you guys?
I think if you're talking about the existing guys coming from PSAs that they've been using for 5-10 years, it probably is as much the lack of excitement or anything that they're getting from their current system, and it possibly falling behind even, especially on things like the service desk side and the interacting with your customers using your PSA tool. I think on that side, they're looking at other people using tools like Halo PSA or other kind of more modern options, and they are seeing that they're possibly going to start losing customers just because their user interaction and user experience isn't good enough.
Yeah.
I think it is probably a combination of the carrot and the stick, where they're not getting enough this side, and they're seeing this over here that's offering all this, and that's enough for them to move. I would say that our focus for a while now really has been on established MSPs. That was always what we wanted to kind of sell to, because you end up with long-term customers. They give really good feedback. They can help you build your product because they know how it works. They've been doing this before. They've used other PSAs. So that was always kind of the aim. And the really startup ones, I've always said this, you'd see on Reddit and things like that, and on Tech Driver and Speak Geek, that I would say that Halo probably isn't perfect for a startup because it is complex. It's not a simple system to get up and go with. And we've always said, if you're really at startup phase and cash is really important as well, then there's tools like Synchro, Atira, SuperOps, stuff like that, which can probably get you by. Just because it's a complex system. I don't want to. We've always tried not to oversell it to anyone as if you can pick it up and get going in 3 hours. It's not like that. It's definitely designed for larger teams.
Maybe another way to put it is also that it's for an MSP that knows what they're doing, and an MSP that has specific needs, like you had suggested and alluded to, that they're wanting greater interaction with their customer through the PSA tool. It's not happening with their current setup, and they want more. Their existing finite human resources have to do more. It's just such a weird thing, Tim. I can't, because I followed a lot of new product vendors, and they, a lot of them do go to the unaffiliated, the new startup, and it just seems like everybody I was talking to was like they're an existing. They had already made their choice years ago, and then all of a sudden here they are talking about Halo PSA, and it's like, what is it about this company that everybody wants to talk about? Which is a good problem, right? I mean, awesome problem to have. It's not a problem. It's just a good thing to have.
Yes.
Not a problem. Like, let me ask you about being disruptive in the market. You're a product company. You just called yourself. I get that. I think that's very admirable. I think keeping your eye focused on the MSP. Your feedback must be from the MSPs because of their maturity level in the market. They're existing MSPs for the most part. You're dealing with end user large organizations, but that's got to be giving you a wealth of roadmap data. Am I wrong there? Or?
Yeah, we've got a huge roadmap. I think we could be building it in 20 years still, and we'd still have cool stuff that we want to add. We never run out of ideas. It's just a fun job prioritizing it all, and making sure we get the important stuff done first. But I think that's massively helped by having really good places to interact with our customer base. So I talk about things like Reddit, MSP Geek, Tech Drive, all these other forums, and the fact that, I get my email address out all the time. So I get emails all the time from random MSPs that I've never spoken to before. Sometimes they've got an issue. Sometimes it's they want to add a feature to the roadmap, anything like that. And it because they're product led, and all the senior team really are like that. We're always kind of listening, and there's this good kind of feedback loop. That means I feel like we're always going in the right direction because we're listening to the customers. I don't know, everyone's probably going to say that. That's such a cliche. But I was a developer for 4 or 5 years before I got into this role, and I still do software development on Halo for probably like a day a week, probably 8 hours at least a week that I'll spend making little code changes and things like that. So me as an individual, I'm extremely product focused as well. I don't really believe in a company surviving long term just based on an excellent sales team and a great marketing strategy. I think you need to have a decent, or not, if not the best product to still be there in 10 years time.
I think that's a really good, really good thing to hear, and I think a lot of MSPs will be happy to hear about that. Can you talk a little bit about your geography? I know you have a team based in the UK. You have offices all over the world. What types of MSPs are you working with, or do you find you are responsive to the Halo PSA product? Is it any particular geography, any size category?
The size. So in the last 5 years, the average size has basically been scaling up and moving up. So I think 5 years ago, the average size was about 6 or 7 employees. And it's gone up about 2 employees every year. So we're now looking at the average size being about 16 or 17 employees. I don't know exactly where the breakdown is, whether that's because there's a small number of massive ones and lots of little ones. I'm not sure. But I think looking at the demographics now of who's come on board in the last year, it does look pretty much in line with Kaseya's report on the average size of MSPs. They kind of had this report 2 years ago, I think it was, where they broke it down into, this 1 to 5 employees takes up 15% and blah, 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 all the way up. And I think we're now bringing in basically a good cross section, which is, it's nice because it means that we're hitting the needs for the whole market. There'll still be some on the massive end that are really complex and probably using things like ServiceNow or other tools that kind of outgrow the classic PSA tool set. And I actually think we're a really good option for that. But that's probably a whole nother conversation. But in terms of the geography, then I think this year, every month, we've sold more in the US than the UK. I think this year's the first year, the first year where we've done that every month. So our US office is growing in size, considering opening up another one on the East Coast. So we're currently in Washington State. The reason we opened it on the West Coast to start with is because we've got UK, which means we can cover a bit of the East Coast. But we need someone on the West Coast or a team on the West Coast to cover everyone out there. But I think we're getting to the point where we might open another one on the East Coast sometime in 2024. And then we've got Australia. So we've also got an office in Melbourne, that's a bit smaller. It is a smaller market in that region. But yeah, so that's it. We've got kind of over 50% now of new customers that come on board are from the US, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, it is. And I mean, I'm just excited to have, to get to know more about your company, because again, I'm just hearing it from a lot of MSPs. It's good chatter. It's good conversation. And it's, you seem to have re-energized a product line that maybe was stagnant for a while. And at least the MSPs that are talking to us, they're saying, yeah, you guys are doing some really cool stuff. It's innovative. It's needed. And I think that that's really good for the market. So I hope you guys feel good about what you're doing, because that certainly seems to be the sentiment on the street, as it were.
Yeah, I think we're getting on all right. We're not done yet, but yeah, we'll see.
Absolutely. One final question: are we going to see a Halo Fest, a Halo Con, use your from you guys in the future?
Yeah, we are thinking about it. I think there's Halo Orbit or Halo Gravity are the names are running at the moment. We're not sure yet. I mean, we've thought about doing something in the UK, simply because the UK doesn't really have the same level of events that the US has.
True.
I go out to the US ones quite a lot, and they're great fun, and you just do it so much better than the UK. We don't really have any good MSP focused events other than the ConnectWise and Enable. No, actually, Enable don't have one. Sorry, in the UK, the ConnectWise and Kaseya one, but they're very much they're run by those guys, and it's hard to get in. I mean, ConnectWise don't let us go, and Kaseya, I don't think they're going to let us go next time. So it'd be nice to have one that's a bit more vendor agnostic. Yeah, we'll see. We have thought about or talked about potentially teaming up with another vendor for it as well. But yeah, I don't know when that's going to happen.
Well, keep us posted when you do find out. What's the best place for people to? Obviously, they can just Google Halo PSA. But what's your URL if they want to go visit? See you guys.
Yeah, it is just halopsa.com.
Pretty simple, straightforward.
Yeah, and you can get a trial from there. Pricing's on the website as well, in your own whatever currency you've got. And you can get a demo from there as well if you want to, so just through a kind of booking page. Awesome.
Well, again, thank you so much, Tim Bowers from Halo PSA. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. They're, if only just to be aware of what they're doing, because I think that it's good to be aware of activity in the MSP community. And we certainly have been excited to see the impact that you're having on the community at large. Keep up the great work. Tim Bowers, Halo PSA. Talk to you next time.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a like. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast so you'll get notified when future episodes are released. We will see you next time in the MSP Zone.